Once a material has been applied to a scene, the sample slot that material occupied in the material editor can be cleared off in preparation for making another material. And that pretty much allows you to build and apply as many materials as a given scene may need. Having the freedom not to think that you're limited by the fact that the material editor has a maximum of 24 sample slots to work from. No, a scene can have as many skins as it needs. But in clearing a particular material out of the editor, what then happens in a situation where you'd like to go back and maybe change something about that no longer available skin? Well, being that the material editor is the only place that those additional edits can be made, there's got to be a way to pull a material back out of the scene and into your editing control box. Here's how that's done. I'm using a file named Retrieving Materials. It's simply a carryover from the previous video and can be found in the Working Files folder for this chapter. Let's begin by first clearing out the currently applied materials that we have stored in the editor. We'll do that by simply dragging a clean gray ball on top of each of the existing skins. Okay, what's the trick now to getting a material out of our scene and back in place so we can make a few additional adjustments? You actually have a couple of options, all depending on how easy it is to get a clear shot at the object you're trying to get the material off of. If you have clear visibility in being able to choose the object in the scene, you can simply use the eyedropper located directly to the left of where you name your materials. Let's use the command to grab the skin off the torus. As you position the eyedropper in the view but away from an object, you'll notice that the mouse cursor changes to the look of an eyedropper, but that the tip of the dropper, the white end, appears empty. Once you position your mouse directly on top of an object that has a material applied, the white tip fills with gray. Max's way of letting you know that it's found and is ready to retrieve the material back into the material editor. With the material back into play, we can now make whatever changes might be needed. Let's change its color to pink. We can do that by simply adding a little blue. In situations where it's a little more difficult to use the eyedropper, like for an example accessing the material on one of the small purple balls, you can instead locate the material in your scene from a list that you can select from. That list can be accessed by going under the Get Material button on the far left side of the horizontal row of icons. The Get Material command is something you'll be using continually over the course of pretty much every project, as it gives you access to a wide variety of both things in your scene and materials that you can apply to your scene. Now, before clicking on the command, let's activate a new sample slot. The Get Material option leads you to a browser, from which you can browse various locations for what you're needing to access. In our situation here, we're wanting to get a material from our scene. Scrolling down to the bottom of the browser, you'll see a category named Scene Materials. The skins in your scene will be displayed in that area. The manner in which things are displayed can be adjusted by right-clicking on the title bar and navigating to the Display Group section of the menu. You can choose between large, medium, and small material icons, or you can choose, as I've done here, the Icons and Text option. Using icons and text, you can see the material's name, the type of material that it is, and just exactly what objects in the scene have had that material applied to them. The bracketed names to the far right of the list indicates those objects. Once you've located the skin that you're wanting to bring back to the material editor, you can add it into the currently selected sample slot by simply double-clicking on its entry. Let's do that with the green material. An alternative method would be to drag and drop the skin into position. Let's do that with the blue material, dragging it to a clean sample slot. Once we have things in position, to ensure that what we change in the material editor will also be changed in the scene, we'll want to choose Instance. Once things are back in the editor, whatever changes need to be made can be easily done. Let's adjust both the blue and green colors. So there's your options for retrieving a material out of a scene. If you can make a clean selection, use the eyedropper. It's quick and efficient. But in situations where things are a little more tightly positioned together, know that you've got the browsing by going through Get Material. Either way you go, you're now prepared for the task at hand.